Hello and welcome to this musical edition of ENCORE. In today's show, we lift the lid on Nicki Minaj's new album. The rapper says she's made a more emotional record, but that hasn't stopped it whipping up controversy. French rappers I Am are blowing out 20 candles. It's been 2 decades since their album Ombre et Lumière topped the charts. And we say goodbye to the Cuban crooners of the Buena Vista Social Club. The celebrated troupe is heading off for a well-earned rest after 16 years on the road. Well, I'm joined by our music critic, Mark Thompson, who's here as always.
Hi, Olivia.
Hi, Mark. Now, we'll be chatting rap, hip-hop and much more. But first, rapper Nicki Minaj is launching her 3rd studio album, Pinkprint. It's a record that's seen her tweaking her signature style. The album's made a splash, but perhaps for the wrong reasons. One of the singles only stirred up controversy when it was released a few weeks ago because of its video, getting her in trouble with the Anti-Defamation League. Let's have a look at a very edited version of that clip.
I mean, she say I'm obsessed with thick women and I agree. Yeah, that's right. I like my girls BBW. Yeah, type that wanna suck you dry and then eat some lunch with you. Yeah, so thick that everybody else.
So that's a very modified version. We can't even play the official version because, of course, explicit language is quite problematic. And there's also something else quite controversial about this video.
Yeah, she's no stranger to courting controversy or attention in general, really. But I think it's no surprise people saw Nazi imagery in this video. I mean, you've got the tanks, you've got this Nazi-ish symbols on the flags, you've got just the whole sort of concept of the video. Now, Nicki Minaj did take to Twitter to apologise to anyone who may have taken offence to the video. She did say that she wasn't behind the concept and the people who were actually Jewish, but she was happy to say, I'll take full responsibility for anyone who's offended. It was never her intention for that to happen. Sadly, she didn't apologise for Chris Brown being on the record, though. I think really he is a very much a low point in this single.
Well, you mentioned Chris Brown. I mean, he's not the only starry cameo on this record. There are plenty of well-known names.
Very much so, though I do think Breezy, Chris Brown and Wheezy Little John, who are both on only that single, are probably the lowest points of the record. And we've got some really great cameos. I mean, we've got The Game, Beyonce, Katy Perry, these huge stars, and they really all bring something apart from those two. Now, Beyonce, as I mentioned, is probably going to be part of the next single, which is called Feeling Myself, which is obviously doused in innuendo. That I think it's more about necessarily pleasuring oneself compared with just feeling at home in a comfy jumper watching the TV or anything like that. Plus obviously she's remixed the absolute classic Sir Mix-a-Lot's Baby Got Back for her first single Anaconda. So there's a lot of different elements at play here, but
Baby Got Back, I mean, a huge hit. That's a dead cert for success.
I mean, that's always going to be a great chart topper.
Yeah, I mean, do you think it works as an album?
You know what? There's a lot of growth here. It's just less bubblegum pop that we saw in certain singles like Super Bass when she was really first making a name for herself. It's a lot more personal. There's a lot more to this album, really. There's singles about her experiences when she had an abortion, about her cousin who was killed back in 2011, just about growing up, and this is a much more grown-up album. I wonder if she's feeling a bit more of pressure from, say, Iggy Azalea and Azealia Banks, who are really sort of pushing on her coattails. She's not quite, though, at the level where people have suggested she might be the new Missy Elliott. I don't think she's there yet. Maybe in a few years' time, but she's moving in the right direction.
So she's on the trajectory.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Now we're moving from hip hop to neo soul or R&B, if you like. It's been 14 years, but finally D'Angelo has given his fans something they've long been waiting for, and that's a 3rd album. We've only got a tiny extract to show you, so take a look at this track, Really Love. Well, that album is called Black Messiah, this new album from D'Angelo. Mark, what's that title all about?
Well, that's not a lot to go off, but trust me, it is a very promising album from what I've heard so far. Black Messiah is not saying that he is their Black Messiah by any stretch, but it's more of a political statement saying that people can become the Black Messiah if they stand up to oppression. And there are some very political elements on this record. The album may have been, say, 14 years in the making, but it's very on point. It's very perfectly timed. For example, one song in particular, The Charade, as a quote lyric from that record, all we wanted was a chance to talk. Instead, we only got outlined in chalk. And especially with the protests we're seeing in the US right now, with regards to the black men who have been killed by white police officers, this is, I mean, it's really going to touch a lot of people. And I feel that song could even become a song for the protesters as they move on. He says that the record is about people rising up. It's about Ferguson. It's about North Africa. It's about people really standing up to the man. But it's not completely political. There is some fun on there. There's some great cameos from, for example, Questlove from The Roots. And he just brings that sort of air of charm about it. And D'Angelo always has this very Prince way of delivery.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's still there whether he's talking political or he's having fun. And it's really nice to see that still there 15 years after his last great record.
Great, so we're looking forward to that. Now, another US artist who's releasing an EP this week, that's Ludacris.
Yeah, well, whereas D'Angelo is someone who his work's very sparing, Ludacris always seems to have some kind of project on the go. This latest one is an EP called Burning Bridges. Now, Ludacris released, I think it was 8 albums in 10 years when he first started off. But he's taken a break in recent times to sort of focus on being a producer, being a DJ, and also as an actor.
He's become something of a personality.
Yeah, he's more of a US all-round celebrity now, especially with his work in the Fast and the Furious franchise. I mean, he's really made a name for himself with that. But we're now expecting him to come back to type, really. He's got an album out next year called Ludiversal. Before that, he really wanted to have a personal rant, it almost seems. He'd like really sort of refreshing himself. The title Burning Bridges is a play on his name, Chris Bridges, and he actually said to his fans on Facebook that he wanted to start afresh. Let's have a listen to that message.
It's not the fun and crazy and laughable Ludacris. This is more of the serious Ludacris on the Burning Bridges. And you're going to hear some frustration, you're going to hear some anger, and once I get all that shit off my chest, then I can go back to being the fun, loving, crazy Ludacris, all right?
As you can hear, he's very anxious and eager to get this record out there, and it is his most personal to date. Like Nicki Minaj, he's really sort of getting into some very personal territory here. But to promote the record, he's actually been freestyling over a number of big hit singles, including Nicki Minaj's Only. I think he basically wants to show that he's still very relevant in the hip-hop game, having been out of it for a few years, and he's still someone, especially, I think we'll see with Ludiversal next year, is someone who's still very fun and still very relevant to that genre.
Ludacris been a busy man then. Now, we're staying with hip-hop and rap. The French group I Am are revisiting some old ground. They're celebrating 20 years since the release of their record Ombre et Lumière, which fast became a cult classic. They're re-releasing this 1993 album, which topped the charts in '94, and this new edition comes with DVD concert footage and plenty of extras. Classed alongside NTM and MC Solar as the founding fathers of French rap. Let's have a listen to one of I Am's vintage tracks, Je danse Lumière.
J'avais la nuque longue, Eric aussi, Malek, Coco, la coupe à la Marley, Pascal était Rasta, des afros sur François et Joe. Déjà à la danse à côté de personne ne touchait une bille. On dansait le Mia. Je danse le Mia.
Now, after 16 years on the road and many, many more of music making behind them, the Buena Vista Social Club is calling it a day. Well, I think they probably deserve a rest now after all these years, Mark.
They do, but it's still sad. I mean, these artists are well past their 70s now, and I always kind of thought they would just keep going and going and going. But it is the Adios tour, it is their farewell tour after more than 1,000 shows involving 40 artists over 16 years. I mean, that is a huge effort. And they've spread Cuban music. They've done so much for Cuban music. This all dates back to the Grammy Award-winning record back in 1997 of the same name. And that really put Cuban music back on the map, as Sanam Chantier has more.
It's a spectacle that has travelled across the oceans, thrilling audiences from the heart of the Caribbean to European capitals, the Buena Vista Social Club. Already known for its classic cars, fine cigars and rum, Cuban music reached new heights in 1998 with a documentary by German director Wim Wenders. For these stars of the show, international recognition was fleeting. Although no longer here, their spirit lives on. And it's on this stage where they're remembered, to the beat of the bongo. The surviving members of the Buena Vista Social Club are today all above 75. But for them, age comes without limits. At 82, Luis Chacon Mendive has no trouble keeping up with this young salsa sensation.
Everything grows from music. Cuban music brings youth to the elderly, and that's why we never age. With Cuban music, there's always cheering and dancing.
Also adding fuel to an already scorching hot stage, 92-year-old Urbicio Carrillo Rodriguez.
It's possible that music has something to help us stay in form. It certainly keeps me strong.
It's really intense. It's the secret to eternal life. Some people spend their money on Botox and plastic surgery, but here we have music, which brings youth.
The Buena Vista Social Club has tested the limits of longevity. But with this world tour, they're set to bid adios to their fans and lovers of Cuban music.
Well, that's all we have time for today. Thanks, Mark, for being with us, and thanks to you at home for watching. Don't forget, you can catch up with Encore on France24.com, and we're on Twitter and Facebook. I'll leave you with this seasonal offering from The Killers, Joel, the Lump of Coal.
Joel's surprise, he saw a boy with the saddest face, and tears were in his eyes. He picked Joel up and held him, said, "You can be my friend." I would have liked some presents, but you're what Santa chose to send.